Welcome ESO community to my Dragonknight Berserker Werewolf build for Battlegrounds in Imperial City, and for Proc PvP once it comes back when no procs get removed from Cyrodiil. Pretty sure no proc will get its own campaign or something like that, but who knows. I haven't made a Dragonknight Berserker or a Berserker Werewolf or a Dragonknight Wolf build in a while, like probably a very long time, probably almost about a year. So I kind of want to implement and show you what I've been using for my Battlegrounds and Imperial City experience for my DKs. But anyway, this build basically has high crit chance, good healing, good overall damage, constant pressure, and good ulti regen and stuff like that. And it's pretty tanky as well. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you the gear, my skills I recommend, potions, food, just the basic overall stuff and all the above when it comes to build making and for showing you what I would like to use for a Berserker Werewolf specifically and a Dragonknight so far. Alright, so let me go ahead and get into the food first. Slottable items as well. The best foods that I recommend for a Berserker Werewolf or a werewolf in general, Berserker or not, is Artaeum takeaway broth and Bewitch sugar skulls. Sugar skulls give you more health recovery and overall max resources, but it gives you less stam recovery than Artaeum takeaway broth. However, Artaeum takeaway broth is very expensive, so if you have the recipe, try to make some of these if you want to try it out. The downside of this, it has less max magicka and overall less max resources, but it has more stam recovery, so your stam sustain will be a little bit better. But your damage will be less because of your max resource, and you're not going to be able to pull as many heals. If you do not have these, just use basic try food or dubious or any food you like, or any drink buff. It doesn't really matter too much, but yeah. Potions, I recommend tripods are probably the best for werewolf because you need to be able to sustain overall. Immovable pots, basically 1 CC can kill you, especially I'll hit you with a Dawnbreaker, and you gotta be able to break out much faster this patch due to the high damage ratios with players. And Essence of Speed allows you to run down opponents and run away from opponents. So, and the tech pots, Night Blades are very nasty because of the crit chances and the critical damage this this patch I meant to say. You want to be able to get rid of them, and this build hits very hard and it's very, very nasty, so if you're able to hit them, it will kill them. So yeah, get rid of them with pesky bullet Night Blades, because if not, they will ruin your day. If you don't have any of these potions, just run basic mag pots, health pots, or stam pots. I know the health pots in Cyrodiil make you go invisible, which is pretty cool. But that's pretty much it on the basic food and potions and stuff. Nothing too much to it. Very basic stuff. You get what I'm saying. Alright, so the first set for my proc build, Proc Berserker Dragonknight Wolf, is Eternal Vigor. This is probably the hands down the best sustain set for basically all stamina classes. Probably magic classes as well, if you can stack that with Ember Plasm, but this is a stamina tune, so in werewolf specific, you want to be able to it gives you a lot of max mag recovery, stamina recovery, health recovery, and max health. And the strong part of this set is the 5th item. Gives you stamina recovery and magic recovery while above 50%, and once you drop below 50, it gives you a bunch of health recovery. So it's kind of like a Troll King proc, and trust me, this will keep you alive. But yeah, if you do not have Eternal Vigor, just try to get Shackle Breaker or some other recovery set here. Willow's Path maybe, but Eternal Vigor in my opinion is the best for this, especially for a werewolf because your abilities are so cost heavy. Alright, so increase your weapon damage enchantment, so basically a basic weapon damage enchantment, and then an hold trait. You can also use Sharpen if you want. Sword, axe, mace, it doesn't matter, because none of that really goes over in werewolf form. It doesn't matter at all. The only thing that matters is the trait and enchantment. Your offhand's going to be an impenetrable shield. And with the tri-set Akijo, you want to make sure all your max resources, try to make your max resources high as possible so you can pull more heals and do more attacks as well, and make sure your heals are also strong. You can also do dual wield if you like, or two-hander, but that's not really my recommended way to go due to the armor nerfs to the werewolf, or resistance nerfs. You want to kind of keep your resistance a little bit higher. You don't want to be too squishy on a wolf because you don't have that massive heal potential from weapon damage or anything like that, because since your heal is scaled with max health, you want to be able to and your abilities cost too much, so it's not really worth it. Just make sure you have more resistance here. And it also, you get ultimate faster due to the heroic slash, and it just feels better in my opinion. You can use any poison, double dot poisons, crown lethal. I have the stamina drain ones with double dots, but you can kind of run whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. But with this build, I'll show you why poisons would be nasty. But yeah, not much to it here. Asylum two-hander, great sword, Nernhold trait. What Asylum does is it allows me to build ultimate much faster on low health enemies. So anything enemy below like 25% or 50% or whatever, they'll start building ultimate like the blood spawn proc. Instead of being a defensive proc, it'll be an offensive proc, so I can constantly build it up. Probably a few little ads around me, I could probably get ultimate in like seconds. So yeah, not much to it there. If you don't have this, you can just run a bow on your back bar or another two-hander. Eternal Vigor are the other special two-handers if you like, but this is a werewolf specific build and that wouldn't really be recommended. Nernhold trait and weapon damage enchant, just the basics here. You can do sharpened if you like, but it's up to you. And any poisons as well. The first monster says be Molokina. This is going to be able to stack my weapon damage specifically for Battlegrounds, since I already have a lot of recoveries already with Eternal Vigor and my CP. There won't be too much to do with this as well. But however, if you don't want this, you want a little more sustain, a little more tankiness or beefiness, you can use Blood Spawn or Engine Guardian or Troll King. All of it's fine. It doesn't really matter. But I kind of wanted to dish out a little more pressure, a little more damage. Probably use Molokina if you're in a group, probably more efficient. So you might have outside heals coming to you. So I recommend actually putting a tri-stat Hakijo here, but I only have a max damage enchant, but you'll be fine. And make sure you have impenetrable on all your body pieces, because if you don't, you're going to get hit really hard and kill a lot faster due to the higher critical damage this patch. But yeah. Anyway, your main damage set is mechanical acuity. Okay. When I was talking about the poisons and all the bleeds that the Berserker Werewolf gets, plus the DK dots and whatever other and everything that's basically a physical damage, and anything that can crit will crit, and it'll be very, very nice on this build. But basically, if you stack all your dots, poisons, defiles, bleeds, and disease damage on your werewolf while mechanicals up, you'll watch someone's health go from 100 to 0 in seconds. They melt pretty fast. And then obviously a high tri-stat Akijo. And then for everything needs to be tri-statted as well. However, since my Molokina is only max stamina, you can change that. But that's what I just have for now. But I'm just telling you what you need to put here. Light armor waist and a medium bracers for the Untaunted passives. I have the medium to kind of reduce the roll dodge issue, and then I have the light sash to kind of reduce magical damage coming at me, because more head armor pieces you have this patch, more magic players will do to you. But overall, this is kind of what you need. It also increases your max resources as well from the Undaunted. But yeah, mechanical acuity, very, very nasty set. Especially combined on a Berserker Wolf, it just eats people alive, especially this patch, man. Critical damage is so important. For jewelry, all of it's triune to increase my max resources for all pools. Like I said, World is very cost heavy, And then for enchantments, you just have basic weapon damage enchants. Make sure you get the increased physical harm glyphs. You don't want to just buy a bunch of weapon damage enchantments and realize, oh crap, you need to have it for your jewelry. So they're actually named different, but they both add weapon damage. Get the jewelry specific ones, which is known as increased physical harm glyphs. But yeah, you can also run infused or protective or anything you want here. If you feel like it's a little squishy, do protective, a little more resistance. But if you think you're lacking sustain, you know, you can do it infused, put some recovery enchantments, but you should be fine. Or if you want a little more damage, go all infused. If you want more utility in your stamina pool, go robust. But I just went triune, kind of add a little bit of everything here. Alright, that's pretty much it on my armor sets. I'm going to go ahead and get into the skills for the Dragonknight. The first skill is Hardened Armor. This is the basic Dragonknight buff. It basically gives you a damage shield and increases your physical and spell resistance for 20 seconds, and also the portion abilities go up your max health. And while active, the armor returns 1,100 magic damage to any enemy that uses a direct damage attack against you in melee range. So it can be pretty effective against werewolves that are coming at you, melees, or anybody that's coming at you with a dizzy swing or something like that. You can kind of come back with a magical damage. Like, it's not a whole lot because you're a werewolf build, but it still can be used pretty effectively. But yeah, Hardened Armor because it gives you a shield and also gives you resistance, and yeah. Green Dragon Blood, this just gives you major fortitude, major endurance, and minor vitality. Increase your health recovery and stamina recovery and your healing received by 8%. And you can also synergize this with Fragmented Shield. Fragmented Shield gives you a little mini damage shield, and it also scales off your max health, and you also gain Major Mending, increasing your healing done by 16% for 6 seconds. So you can stack those together, get over 20% easily when you're healing. Heroic Slash, this puts maim on your target, basically reduces damage done to you, and it also slows them down. Puts a snare, and then also puts minor heroism, or giving you minor heroism, so you can build your ultimate faster. You can kind of synergize that with the Asylum weapon to get ultimate. Because this is a werewolf build, werewolf specific build. You want to be able to get to your wolf as fast as possible, but you should be tanky enough to survive. Resolving Vigor. This is your, especially with all your buffs, all your damage buffs procced and all your healing buffs procced, your vigor will go up a lot more. So your vigor will actually be a lot stronger than what it says right now. But as a basic stamina heal, you kind of need that for all your stamina tunes. And then Werewolf Berserker, but I'll definitely be going over that more in a second. On your back bar, you have a Dizzy Swing. This is a basic stamina spammable. And it sends them off balance, and then you can do a heavy attack, and then you can, like, targets that are immune to off balance are snared by 40% for 2 seconds, so pretty interesting there. Or for 2 seconds, by 40% for 2 seconds, my bad. And then you got Stampede. This attack is always a critical strike, which is kind of interesting, and then it kind of does AoE damage underneath as well, and it's a gap closer. Cauterize, this gives you heals, or it'll heal your teammate, and then you get Major Prophecy, increasing your spell critical rating, and this ability scales with your highest offensive stats. So the more weapon damage you have, this is going to start scaling like crazy and give you a lot more benefit from it. Executioner, you need this because you have the Asylum weapon, and deals up to 400% more damage to enemies with less than 50% health. So basically run up to a lower health player or lower health adds and just start spamming it to get your ultimate back quicker. And then Rally, the more weapon damage you have, the more effective this heal will be, and you can kind of spam this as well for more heals. And then you have Corrosive Armor. I just got this, I wanted to try it out, because I've been fighting people who use it, and this thing does a lot of damage because it basically ignores all your armor. And since I'm a werewolf main, I know how effective it can be against against werewolves in werewolf form. Oh my gosh, this crap hurts. But yeah, and also notice that you can pop this ultimate and build ultimate while it's going off. So if you feel like, and also you take less damage as well, a lot less damage. So you pop this ultimate while you're getting beat on, you can kind of get back to your werewolf, maybe get half of your ultimate back by the time it runs out. But yeah, it's a pretty good secondary ultimate if you don't want to use your wolf right away. Or it can kind of save your ass, basically, type ultimate. But that's basically it. You can kind of put any type of skills you want here, it doesn't matter. But this is what I have on my Dragonknight Wolf so far, and it works just fine for me. Alright, so the race I recommend, you can use any stamina race, but I have the Imperial. I feel like they're the best for werewolf overall. Increase your max health by 2,000, increase your max stamina by 2,000, and then reduce the cost of your abilities by 6%. So it's going to basically reduce my ultimate cost, and it's going to reduce the cost of my heal, my attacks, and everything. However, I do have other Dragonknights. I have an Orc, I have a Dark Elf, those work as well. But you can basically use any stamina race you want, especially the Khajiit, man. The Khajiit would definitely probably benefit more with mechanical acuity, but I don't have a race change right now, so this won't be a Khajiit. And to be honest, I recommend being a cat. Probably be a Khajiit Nightblade would be better because of your flanking passives and critical damage, but I have a Dragonknight. I haven't came out with a build like this in a while, so yeah. This is what I recommend. My top 3 races are probably going to be Imperial, Khajiit, Nords, Orcs, Dark Elves. Dark Elves probably had the most damage overall, but less critical. So Khajiit will definitely overtake the Dark Elf in that. But any stamina race will work. You can even use a Wood Elf if you want. But yeah, I want to be heal a little bit more, and also you can use an Argonian. They're also very effective. Good potion passives, good heals, and they have poison and disease resistance. Alright, so that's pretty much it on my Dragonknight abilities and my race recommendations. The Mundus Stone I recommend is going to be the Warrior or the Shadow, the Lover, basically any Mundus Stone to your liking, but I want to have the Warrior so when my mechanical acuity is not procced, I'm still doing pretty decent damage. That's pretty much it on this here. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the werewolf skills because that's where the build really mainly focuses on. That's what we want to get into. But anyway, let me go ahead and get into that. Buff myself, I mean, like it really matters, but alright. The reason I'm going to use Berserker for this build is specifically the Berserker gives you a lot of dot pressure, a lot of bleeds and heavy attacks, splash heavy attacks. It's really, really nice, especially when you got a group of ads or a group of people in front of you and you're mechanical and they're squishy. Mechanical acuity goes off, you can hit them with a heavy attack and it will like do an AoE damage, and then you can follow it by a cleave from your infectious claws, which would be pretty nasty. You can finish guys pretty quickly if they're very squishy or squishy enough. And the overall bleed stack with the damage, overall bleed, and yeah, the bleed pressure is really nice. Now for your first morph, Brutal Pounce, I recommend using this because it gives you the most damage and it also puts a execute bleed on your targets, and it'll also increase your weapon damage. If you jump on 6 targets at once, you get about 600 weapon damage if you jump on 1 target 6 times. Dumping on 1 target 6 times is kind of not effective, to be honest, so you're kind of better off just using the other morph, the Feral Pounce one, if you're solo, because it will give you a little more timer in Werewolf if you're able to land that Feral Pounce on the target from a certain distance. But yeah, pretty nice there, pretty nice. If you're in a group, run Brutal. If you're solo, run Feral. That's my recommendation there. You could use Pack Leader, but they do a little bit less damage, but their time duration's better and they're tankier, and they do have the minor courage buffs. Your weapon damage value be a little bit higher on your direct attacks and your dots, but you don't have any bleeds on your light and heavy, so you're actually going to do less damage overall. So for this build, I recommend Berserker, especially when you get all the Dragonknight buffs going off. It's really nice. Hercian's Fortitude, this is the stronger heal out of the two. The other one is a PvE specific morph, to be honest. It's not effective in PvP at all. So I recommend using Fortitude because it gives you recoveries and it's the stronger heal out of the two. However, it was cut in half. It was 666 down from 333. If you're at full health and you're CC'd and you have no stamina, go ahead and activate a heal, and you will instead restore 3,000 stamina, and that will give you enough stamina to break out. And then while having this heal, you gain major vitality at all times, so you have your weapon damage bonus at all times, so that's pretty nice. So your damage is always going to be high. Deafening Roar. This basically reduces your enemy's resistance, puts minor maim, puts major breach on the target. Like I said, reduces the resistance, and then puts maim, and then it gives you major savagery, increase your weapon critical rating, and also that would stack with the mechanical acuity proc and be very, very nasty. Your heals will also crit with mechanical as well, so yeah. The other morph is a very fast heavy attack. You can use that one as well, but you don't need it. You want to be able to nerf people's resistance and do a little more damage and just spam a bunch of splash heavy attacks. However, that would be pretty nice as well. You can try that one out if you like and see how it goes for you. Hell of Agony, this is your main spammable, but it's very easy to see coming. People dodge it all the time. So I kind of recommend kind of hiding your attack, kind of blending in with your combos. Every time you do a fear, people automatically expect you to come in with that howl. But if you can catch them with it, it will do a lot of damage, especially if you're fully buffed and mechanical is going off, and you debuff their resistance, and you're facing them with the werewolf attack. You'll basically 100 to 0 in seconds, especially followed up by the dot pressure. Then you have Claws of Life. I'm using the Claws of Life for Battlegrounds because I want to stay alive a little bit longer, and when mechanical acuity procs, all those heals will start procking. Yeah, and it'll be really nice there. Your weapon damage is pretty high, so Claws of Life will be scaled a little bit higher as well. However, if you're running a little tankier person, I recommend running Claws of Anguish, because sometimes you might be able to do a bunch of damage, and right before you can kill them, they just heal once, get back to full health. So that's when Defile will come into play. But however, people are very squishy this patch, they die a lot quicker, so you really kind of don't need Claws of Anguish at all. But there always will be that guy that's just downright crazy heals and tanky, so I recommend using this Claws of Anguish against them, but against everybody else, do Claws of Life. And then the only thing that was nerfed was resistance for the werewolf, Savage Strength, but nothing noticeable, to be honest, so yeah. But if you're doing Battlegrounds, guys, I recommend running with another werewolf or so, or a pack of werewolves. It's really, really fun. Maybe have a healer with you. I don't know. Depends how you want to do your group composition. So that's pretty much it on the werewolf skills and recommended morphs for this type of build. The race and Dragonknight skills as well, I recommend. I was going to show you what this looks like when it's buffed. It's kind of hard to get it timed right due to the fact I don't have as many tests on me to land the pounce on. But I'm going to show you what it looks like in the stats. This is what everything looks like when it's unbuffed. Nothing going on there. I do have the Dragonknight armor buff on, but this is what everything looks like when it's unbuffed, basically. But let me go ahead and get to this test on me over here, and I'll show you what the mechanical acuity looks like when it starts buffing fully. Alright. And I also have my Lycanthrope on. Alright, so I only have 24% weapon critical, right? So I'm going to have to wait for the mechanical acuity proc to be active again. But if you watch that weapon damage, it almost reaches 8,000. Now, due to certain enchantments and traits and races, you can get over 8,000 weapon damage easily. But this is what mechanical acuity looks like when it's procced. 124 weapon critical and 111 spell critical. So basically my heals are going to be critting all the time, which is really, really nice. My physical resistance can be a little bit lower. You can kind of fix this with your CP, and you can also put Lady Mundustone traits. Like I said, protective, but I don't really notice too much, to be honest. You do have a higher spell resistance, so you can definitely be more tanky against magical attacks due to the Dragonknight passive. Scaled armor. I wonder if Elder Dragon works, but for Werewolf I'm not too sure. Haven't figured that one out yet. But Scaled armor increases your spell resistance by 3,299, and then you have Iron Skin, increase the amount of damage you block by 10%. So it's kind of like the only passives. The really nice passive for Dragonknight for Werewolf is Battle Roar. Get all your resources back when you transform. I really like that. It's really nice. But anyway, let me show you what it looks like when you heal crit. So all those heals are crits. It's crazy. That's pretty much it on the character sheet. You can pretty much see what it can get up to. The stats overall are pretty nice. Nothing too crazy here, other than pumping critical and weapon damage and decent recoveries. But yeah, when all them dots start stacking on this build, it just eats people alive, man. And especially if they have low crit resistance, trust me, they will die. Like, they will. Those crits will start just stacking really high. Especially if you have your CP placed a certain way. If you're in the CP zones. And proc zone, obviously. Advanced stats, nothing too crazy other than just basic stuff. Mundus stone I recommend is Warrior or the Shadow. Or any Mundus stone you like, it doesn't really matter. I think I said that before, but I'm not too sure. But that's Mundus stones I recommend. Alright, so we're going to go show you the champion points. But this is kind of a battleground specific build. You kind of don't really need CP, but if you decide to go to IC or when proc comes back, I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. I put 40 into Tireless Discipline to increase my max stamina. You need that as a wolf. And a 40 to increase my max magicka so I can pull more heals. And then 40 into Bless to increase my healing done. Need that as well. And then for the first purple star or the first purple tree, do 40 points into this to increase my healing, take it by 4%. You need that as well. This reduces physical, disease, poison attacks as a werewolf. You need this. And then I did 40 into Elemental Aegis to basically reduce magical incoming or magical attacks. So magic players do more damage based upon how many heavy armor pieces you have. So I think it gets up to about 7% if you have also a beast of armor. But however, we do got one light sash and one medium, so you should be good on that department. And then you need resilience. This increases your critical resistance. People hit very hard this patch due to the lower crit resistance and lower overall resistances for builds. So yeah, keep that in mind. For extended might, we did 40 into offensive penetration. You need some pen there to get through armor resistance. 40 into battle mastery to increase your chance to apply a martial status effect by 30% per stage. You need that as well. And then this overall increases my overall damage, but it puts 100 weapon damage, or 100 whatever, 100 grants 100 weapon and spell damage to martial attacks basically. So it basically increased my damage everywhere. The second passive is Deadly Aim. This basically increases my direct damage attacks, so it'll be like heavy attacks, howls, pounce, all direct hits. Infectious Claws, direct hit, whatever it may be. When you get enough CP, go ahead and max this out, but I have 27 so far. The other passive I have is Wrathful Strikes, increase my weapon damage by 165, so it starts stacking. However, since this is a critical build, you can use Backstabber or Fighting Finesse. If you're Khajiit, this will definitely benefit you more than, since I'm Imperial, it's not going to be as effective, but it'll still be pretty strong. I think this one gets up to 15%, and this one is 10%. And if you're Khajiit Nightblade, not a Dragonknight, with mechanical acuity, your wolf, it just hits super hard, especially the crits do. And then we have Untamed Aggression. This just increases my weapon damage, spell damage by 50. However, if you don't like some of the CP, you can change it up. If you feel like you're too squishy, kind of get some of these defensive CPs. This will definitely help you out. But since this is kind of a battleground specific build, your CP doesn't really matter too much. Obviously, it doesn't matter at all in BGs because there's no CP. That's pretty much it on the blue tree. Nothing much more to that. 50 into Juggernaut to basically reduce my damage to crowd troll. Well, yeah. So when I'm under a crowd troll effect, I'll take less damage. You kind of need that. People like to smash them dawn breakers in your head, especially when you're CC'd and they start spinning to win. It's kind of annoying. So kind of put that in there. Do 40 into Defiance, reduce the cost of break free. So your break free will cost less. And then trust me, you need to be able to break free all the time. People just spam CCs all, you know. 50, get Peace of Mind. This basically will increase your recoveries when you're CC'd. You need that. This gives you armor. And the next one just gives you basic recoveries while doing nothing. If you do not want the armor one or the Juggernaut one down here, you can put 50 into Boundless Vitality, increase your max health overall. Or you can kind of mix match and play around with the Unchained and Slippery passes if you like, but it's up to you. Mystic Tenacity, basically because a lot of magical tunes like to do a lot of elemental damage, you want to be able to reduce their magical status effects applied to you. So yeah, especially like DKs and Sorks. Crap gets really annoying, and Wardens, Mag Wardens. So yeah, kind of reduce that. Mine goes up 25%, and it's also a passive, so pretty good. Reduces the cost of roll dodge, so you can basically roll dodge more often and kind of evade attacks, which you kind of need to do a lot as a werewolf. That's pretty much your only defense is blocking in that. Hero's Vigor, increase your max. Basically increases your max health overall. Nothing much to that. You need that to kind of make your werewolf a little bit stronger. There's some of these passives here you could try if you're deciding. This one's interesting, Strategic Reserve. However, it doesn't work in werewolf form, so I recommend, if you're new to werewolf, I recommend getting this. But once you're in werewolf, this would be kind of useless to you, so yeah, kind of get rid of that as fast as possible. Restores Magicka per stage when you kill an enemy, so this can get up to about 1,000 something. It's pretty nice. You could try it out. But however, it doesn't work in Battlegrounds. It's only going to work in the CP zones, and once no proc goes away, you can start trying this out if you like. Increase your movement speed, so you'll be a lot faster as a werewolf when you're sprinting. So it goes up to about 8% movement speed. And then basically reduce the cost of your sprinting, 80 cost reduction, so pretty nice there. All this is basically reduction cost on blocking, and this one's basically increase movement speed while blocking and moving. That's what bracing means, I believe. So. And then you have 45 into Fortification. You can stack that with the Ironclad passive from the Dragonknight, so this gets to about 16% block mitigation, which is pretty nice. So you got a bunch of damage coming at you, and you can't have no resources, or you have a little bit of stamina. Just kind of, or just block it in general. They'll do less damage to you. You can block and heal, which is pretty nice. And this one's just some bash passive, so nothing too crazy there, because you don't really bash in the werewolf anyway. Alright, so that's pretty much it on the red CP. You can kind of play around with that as well. Just kind of put your passives into everything to unlock Gifted Rider. Basically increases your mount speed. You kind of need this for Cyrodiil or IC. And this basically improves your mastery with mounts, moving all mount stamina costs outside of combat, which is really nice for your mount, so you can kind of get to locations faster if you're in those zones that allow you to use mounts. 75 into Liquid Efficiency to basically allow me to not use as many potions, so it's pretty nice. So I'll pop a potion and I'll get my resources, but it won't actually count using the potion. Like it won't consume it, if that makes sense. And then Steed's Blessing. This basically increases your movement speed outside of combat. I noticed when I was running around and there was nobody around me, one guy was like, "How are you outrunning my werewolf?" or whatever. It's because I had this here. or allow me to move faster outside of combat, which is pretty nice. But as soon as you get in combat, this becomes useless. If you don't want this, you can kind of just use the food one and increase your food buff, but it's up to you. But that's pretty much it on the CP, guys. Nothing, really nothing else I can go over, other than probably different armor sets I can use, but that's going to be for other build videos later on, and I'm still trying out new things, but that's pretty much it, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.